Welcome to the Improve and Have Fun podcast. My name is Paul V. Perez, and on this podcast, I work on improving myself while having fun along the way with the hopes of encouraging you to do the same. And I do so by documenting my life and interests. So Jason, we just finished coming out of seeing Old, M. Night Shyamalan's new movie. You have, I think, the description up on your phone right now. What is Old about?
So the premise is a family on a tropical vacation discovers that the secluded beach they are relaxing on for a few hours is somehow causing them to age rapidly, reducing their entire lives in a single day. The trailer for it touched on some of that, but you didn't really get that entirely from the trailer. Like from the trailer, I think we weren't sure, like, was something hunting them or you know.
Was it a monster? Was it a ghost? Or was it like, right. Yeah. I'm going to give my thoughts first and then, you go. As a whole, I enjoyed this movie. I was concerned, it's this and Snake Eyes that both have the same release date. So now I was concerned, and I was telling you, they're leaving these reviews for the day right before release, unfortunately, and that's always a bad sign that a movie's kind of junky. It's a turkey movie, you know what I'm saying? Right. And these reviews of these two movies, both Snake Eyes and Old, because they came out the same week, just came out today, Thursday. Is when they started to release the reviews, and the reviews are kind of average. They were average to good. Came into the movie seeing that really I actually enjoyed this movie. It definitely had some slow bits, and M. Night Shyamalan did some really interesting things with the camera. It was just very up close in people's faces, and then he would pan away and then come back. The camera work was a little weird, but as a narrative, I enjoyed it. The cool thing was seeing the older folks aging, and you see them, like I said, full spoilers like we always do. You see them losing their hearing, they're losing their sight. One is suffering from dementia. Yeah. One has a calcium issue where the bones break easily. And then we have kids that they go into the island at the ages of 11, 6, and younger, and then they start to get older, and then when they try to escape, they can't. It's a small beach area that's secluded by these rocks, and they are just unable to get away from there. And then it's people are oh, I'll swim out, and I'll go through the thing, and then they start to black out, and you just think it becomes a horror movie, which is what it is. And I just found it very intriguing. And then you start to see M. Night Shyamalan, who plays a character who is kind of a villain a little bit in this movie. You see them, you see him on a hill, spying on them, on top of the rock, spying on them. You start to get the notion that they were purposely sent to this area. M. Night Shyamalan, the formula with his movies, always in the end, you get the reason why. Right. And the reason why I thought was pretty good. But it was a lot of character development. Yeah. And there were parts that were very sweet, there were some parts that were very sad, and some parts that not were scary, but it's kind of the horror of, this person's not 100% Rufus Sewell, who's always a villain in everything, you know what I'm saying? But he's such a great villain. But he suffers from dementia. He starts to just act out on people. And this is supposed to be the smartest man in the room. He's a thoracic surgeon. The movie lets off that he's has money, but he's the one that starts to kind of suffer from this dementia and starts to just go and do crazy things. Of course, when you're in a situation where you don't think you could get out, you just try anything to get out, and people did try that, and they suffered the consequences of that. Like I said, as a whole, I thought it was good. I wouldn't say very good. I thought it was good. It just had some slow bits, and the camera work was a little weird for me. Now, what are your thoughts on Old, Jason?
Yeah, that was a good sum up of the movie.
I talked a lot.
And it pretty much explained everything, and you critiqued it well. I think M. Night Shyamalan has a lot of talent in terms of direction, though sometimes he's hit or sometimes he's missed. I'd probably say I enjoy more of his movies than the ones that I don't enjoy. I haven't seen them all anyway, but this one I thought it was above average. I thought it was pretty good. It was almost like a Twilight Zone episode. That's what I was mentioning during the movie. It's you don't know what's going on. At the end, they explain it all, or they have, these twists that sometimes make sense and sometimes they don't. This one, of course, it explains it all. Yeah, I do agree with you that the direction and the camera angles are kind of off-putting at sometimes. Yeah, because like you said, there's a lot of extreme close-ups and sometimes cutting off people's heads, and there is a lot of shaky cam at sometimes, which I tend not to like. But in terms of storytelling, it's an interesting story. Yeah, I think we read at the end that it was based on a graphic novel called Sand Castle. I think I was just reading about it. It was It's a Swiss graphic novel, so I guess they translated it into English, and then he got a hold of it, and he wanted to make this movie. And who knows, there might have been some changes, but if you like a movie that keeps you guessing, it's an old-fashioned thriller that is just about dialogue and story, and I think this would be a good episode of a Netflix show. I think that would be really good. Like, I don't know, what's that one called? Black
Mirror.
Black Mirror. This would be an interesting Black Mirror episode.
Yeah.
But I like the way he makes his movies generally. He makes low-budget movies. They don't cost a whole lot. He shoots them fast or under schedules. That's cool. I mean, he gets to keep making movies that way because he doesn't spend a whole lot of money. More power to him, and I pretty much enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was his best. I think one thing is that like the reveal of everything towards the end could have been edited a little better than the very end, like the way it just cuts to the credits and then that song. It was like it kind of felt weird. But other than that, it was well done. Like I think his best movie in terms of direction is Unbreakable. That's so well directed. The pace and the mood is so well done. And I like that trilogy. Like was it Unbreakable, Split, and Glass? I enjoyed those a lot. It's still a decent entry into his portfolio of movies.
One of the reasons I enjoy doing this with you, I just think you have a movie brain like me, and you make some great points. Just reflecting on what you were saying. Yeah. Well, he takes a lot of chances. He puts out these premises, like of these movies, right? Like, let's say if you and I were just having a conversation, and what if I said, Jason,
right?
Think about this. People go to a beach, but in the beach, they get older. And then, like, that's the premise, and he just probably goes from there. I mean, he based this off of a graphic novel, I'm saying, but I like that. I like that. It's almost like a very kind of playful, I got this idea. Let's kind of riff on this idea. Let's see where we can take it. And, like, listening to you talk makes me feel that about him. That he makes all these movies. It's a small premise, and then it's like, let's blow this up from the premise and blow it up, and then, like, just make a movie into it.
Right.
And I think that's probably one of his superpowers. It's true that not all of them hit. But the fact that he just keeps on taking these chances and making these movies, I think when it's all said and done, when people look back, I think people will say that, like, this guy, he took a lot of chances. Also, maybe with Blumhouse and that kind of formula in terms of making movies on a really small budget, I don't know if he was doing that before. I don't think he was in terms of, like, making small budget movies, but maybe, like, it was such a disruptor because Blumhouse continues to make these low budget horror movies that make a lot of money.
Right.
Like, he maybe saw that and was like, I can do that. Like,
maybe.
This movie literally has maybe the beach, the resort, and then they're in a van. Those are the three scenes where everything takes place.
Right.
So think of it like, that's not a lot of money maybe spent. Maybe like in terms of like the special effects, which there aren't even a lot of. You can see it, like what you're saying is, these are low budget movies that they're probably going to make their money back. Maybe this combination of his ideas, and because he is a creative, he's a director, he writes in it, he stars in the movie. Okay, let's make it on a small budget. Makes it so that he can be working for a long time to come.
Right. He is inspired big time by Alfred Hitchcock. The way Alfred Hitchcock movies were made, suspenseful, a little thrilling,
and you said like
some twists.
Twilight Zone, right?
Yeah, and like Twilight Zone, right? He does it pretty well. This one has a few scenes, like quite a few scenes that are like for shock value, and then some of them are pretty shocking and funny. Like when these two kids, they're growing into puberty during their time on the beach because they're getting older quickly. The way they imply that they had sex is because she comes out of the tent pregnant.
We're just playing around. Yeah. It's like as kids do,
right.
Like they just kind of play with their privates sometimes with each other, kind of thing, right? Like, yeah, we were just playing around, and like they were like having sex.
Yes,
even
right.
if they had it like one time. That was a great scene. I thought another great scene was the main two parents, right?
Right.
Like it was a French woman and it was like the Spanish actor who Bernal Garcia, I'm forgetting his name.
Gael or something.
Gael Bernal Garcia.
Yeah, he was in a lot of movies, like Amores Perros and...
exactly. Those are the ones that put him on the map.
Motorcycle Diaries, yeah. Right.
So their acting, I thought, was very good, especially in the end when they're like super elderly and they were acting elderly.
Yeah,
I thought that was really well done.
And the makeup was very well done.
The makeup was great, but I'm saying this, they're acting, like that one scene when they were just like sitting next to each other and that's before they just died of old age.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I was so tender and so sweet, and I thought the acting right there between them two was fantastic.
Yeah,
I was like,
that was good.
There were some scenes when I even got like a little choked up. But then, like I said, the movie like very minimal. It wasn't like very heavy, but the movie like it gives you moments of cringing. It gives you like some thrills, and
then some humor too, right?
Some humor, and then like some very sweet parts too. And like I said, none of it was overt. None of it was like, oh man, I'm about to bawl. It didn't drive me to that point, but those feelings came up. So I'm complimenting the movie because of that. Now we're going to score the movie, my brother. Jason, what is your score from 1 to 10 for Old?
I would say 7.5. I would say, definitely past the thumbs up. But there are certain things that I think could have been done a little bit better. He does a little experimental stuff, but it doesn't always work. And those extreme close-ups and shaky cam stuff could have been a little better. But hey, he was trying. He's a little experimental film, and he's making movies. And overall, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the 7 myself. And I told you earlier when we were coming up, like I went on IGN. I didn't read the review because I wanted us to have our own review, and they gave it a 7. But I do agree with that score. It's because like I agree with you. Like there were some slow bits, some parts where you're like, okay, like let's keep this moving. But then, like I said, the biggest complaint I'll have about the movie is just like weird camera stuff. Like even the scene that I told you I very much enjoyed, where the parents like they just passed. The camera pans to the mountains, and then it comes back to them. Like, why did it do that?
Yeah.
It's just like,
I know.
huh?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna show me something? And like I said, the camera just did weird things like that. So that's the biggest knock on the movie for me. And it just wasn't like an oomph to it. It wasn't like like maybe you said, like the final act, it was satisfying because they finally got off the island and they exposed what was actually happening. But it lacked some adrenaline or something.
Yeah, I think the like I said, the editing at the end could have been better, maybe.
Yeah, so I'm even gonna go maybe a 6.5 to 7 in that range. That's not an answer, but 6.5 to 7. But still, this was an enjoyable thing because it got us talking for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, let's see what else he could do because when he does his good ones, he like his really good ones, they're very good. More power to him, man.
Yeah, anything that he makes next, he's a director that always there's at least some curiosity. Like, okay, you got this coming up, that's interesting. Let's see what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
A suggestion for someone who wants to see a really good movie that is like a Twilight Zone movie. There's this movie, like this kind of hidden gem called Seconds. It's directed by John Frankenheimer, and Rock Hudson is in it. It's a really good movie. And it's like a feature-length movie version of a Twilight Zone episode. But that movie is really well done. Powerful, really good. So check it out. Read like the synopsis and see if it attracts you. But that one is very good. Anyway, it was another good time at the movies, man. I'm glad we're getting back here, man.
This is our second movie, now back in the movie season. Lord willing, more to come.
All right, man. Thank you very much. It was another great night at the movies.
All right, that's the episode. Definitely want to hear your feedback, want to hear your thoughts, want to hear your comments, or I guess want to read your comments. Do so on the blog at improveandhavefun.com, or you can do it any of the numerous ways, and I leave all those links in the show notes. You want to do it through social media, there's a voicemail number, or whatever way you want to do it. Definitely want to hear from you. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and I will catch you on the next one.